As we're currently unable to give you a physical tour of our school in person, we thought we'd give you a brief tour of our EYFS areas, our EYFS playground, and give you an opportunity to have a little bit of a taste of what you might have seen if you've been able to come into school. So as you know, we're a two-form entry school, and we're very fortunate to have a large EYFS area. So I'm entering the EYFS buildings here, and we have an inside lobby space. This is an area that we might use for interventions, an area that we use for getting ready for forest school. So we have 2 forest school sites, and the children attend forest school each week with a specially trained forest school leader. This is also an area where we store resources and that children have access to our toilets. Some of the things that you might see on this tour are slightly different at the moment because we've had to change our setup for COVID, but in general, we've been able to keep things very similar to how they normally would be. We've had a lot of support and input from the Autism Outreach team from Drumbeat in the last couple of years, and so our environment has been set up to cater for all children's needs, but for a number of autistic children that we have either in the setting with us or that we've previously had in the setting. Although actually, as you'll see as we go around, lots of the things that we do and that we've done are really good practice for all children. So this is an inside breakout space, so we use it as a construction area where children can come, use a variety of resources, and we also have a computer hub here that children have access to at different points in the day, and we use different educational software, some of which you're able to access at home, and then some of it which is unique to school. Outside each classroom there's also space for children to keep their things on their pegs, and some work areas for adults to work individually with children or in small groups. Okay, we're going to move through into the first of our classrooms. At the moment this is Sea Turtle class, but each year we tend to change our names. This year across the school the names of classes are themed around endangered animals. Both of the classrooms, you'll notice, are set up in a very similar way, and we try to encourage as much interaction and free flow between the classes as possible, although this is one of the things at the moment that we've slightly adjusted for, giving COVID safety increased importance. We encourage children to be able to mix in their bubble outside, but then within the classroom just to have children from their own class. Across the school, if you'd come on the tour, you'd have seen a big focus on reading areas. At the moment, we've removed lots of the soft furnishings and cushions, but this is a big focus for us. And that love of reading is at the centre of the curriculum, especially as you increase and move through the school into year 1 and upwards into Key Stage 2. And you'll find that lots of the English texts that they use are then used across the curriculum and trying to get a creative and holistic curriculum. And walking through towards our second classroom, through our creative area and area for kind of small world play, messy play. Ordinarily, and hopefully by the time your child joined us, if you do decide to apply to St. Bart's, we would have these doors open and then there'll be free flow at points throughout the day between the 2 classes. So as you can see, target class is set up in a very similar way. Their creative messy area, small world play, a computer hub. And as I say, in a normal year we'd hopefully have free flow between the classes. The structure of our day is very much play-based. So we are planning in the moment, we're trying to take the children's interests and meet them where they want to be met, and then the exciting and challenging thing for members of staff is to try to thread the early years curriculum through the child's interests and play. But we also do have some specific learning sessions where the children might come all together on the classroom carpet, and that might be phonics or maths, science, and all of those foundation subjects that you'd expect your child to be covering at school. We'd have an RE session each week, a topic session, so some geography, some history. But as I say, very much about being a holistic, child-centred approach to learning, and that's very important for us. We try to encourage children to be as independent as possible, so you might have noticed as we've been going around the area that the resources are well labelled, that they're presented clearly, children know where everything is, they can get what they want, and then when they're finished they are encouraged to put it back where they got it from, so some good life skills there. And creativity is very important for us as a school, and certainly in EYFS, that we're very much trying to encourage children to expand what they've learnt at nursery, and I think we're very lucky. Lots of our feeder nurseries do a lot of very good art and creative activities with the children, and then we build on that, trying to help teach some explicit skills, and that's when you might then start to see the pre-writing and then finally letter formation, the writing curriculum extending from that. We're now going to take a look at our outdoor space, and this is something that we're very proud of, and we're very fortunate to have a large outside area at St Bart's, and it's something that we've been developing over the last couple of years. So we have an outside covered space where children can have messy play, sand play, water play, and that is accessible from both the classrooms. So there's Seated class that we visited first. We also have woodwork and music outside. We encourage children to be out in all weathers. This might be under this cover, or it might be out on the playground with waterproofs and Wellingtons from school, or things that they brought in from home. But like all schools in Lewisham, we're encouraging children to be outside and active for 3 to 4 hours a day. We are a healthy early years London award-winning school, and we've just finished the bronze and we're about to complete the silver award, and part of that is about getting children active and thinking about their physical fitness. So a water cascade for experiments. It's a bit of a dreary day today, but hopefully you'll still be able to see the exciting things we have to offer on our playground. And so this area is accessible to children for nearly the whole day. So whenever we're in free flow, in play-based, child-led learning activities, the outside area is accessible and they have sole use of this area during those times. The only time it's used by other children is at lunchtime for year 1. We've been working on our handwriting curriculum, and it might seem a little bit strange to be saying that when we're outside on the playground, but in the early years a big part of that is being physically active, so thinking about those fine and gross motor skills, and so really those gross motor skills of preparing the body for writing, climbing, running, jumping, hanging, balancing, all those things that they need to help with the postural support when sitting at a table later in their educational career. So we've got lots of things that children can be using throughout the day, encouraging writing in the outside environment, encouraging physicality. So we've got our bike and scooter track, 4-way basketball hoop, lots of building, big scale buildings, so thinking about how is the outside different from the inside, and there's those opportunities for explorative play. And then we have a trim trail, so again thinking about all of those handwriting skills, the physical preparedness for handwriting. Balancing beams and a climbing frame. As I say, we've been developing this space for a number of years now, and it's still a work in progress, so it might well be that by the time your child starts with us, if you do choose St Bart's, it will look even different, even more different. Down this end of the playground we have some den building poles, and if you'd been able to come and see the school when the children were in, you'd have seen that they'd have ropes and pulleys and material connecting these poles to build dens and hideouts, connecting them with our wooden structure here, the wooden tent. And then down this end of the playground we have storytelling. So we have a stage and seats, but these get used for a variety of things. So you can see at the back some of these poles as well for hanging backdrops and setting, but also these are used for jumping, for climbing, for obstacle courses. And you might even be lucky enough to sit on the storytelling throne and hear a story. And then here's some of our outside musical instruments, and we have a lot more that you might have seen under the covers that will come out either onto the stage or into this space. And we have our EYFS garden that in winter at the moment isn't looking as flourishing as it normally does, but we've had some massive vegetables and some amazing rhubarb that's come out of this last year. So we encourage children to have access to the outside space. And looking on that direction you can see our pod, which is in our forest school site that we're going to visit next. Here we are at the first of our 2 forest school areas, and as I mentioned earlier, children in the reception years have a specialist forest school leader who comes each week to see groups of children, and we're very much trying to encourage them to get outside and be physical as much as possible. So you can see in the back our willow structure, the wood circle, the base camp, and then lots of physical activities. Children really like to be exploring. Here they've been making a bug hotel, digging, and then things like whittling wood or building fires with adult support. And now entering our second forest school site, and as you can see, compared to the other, this is a little bit more like a forest, and you can imagine that in summer when the leaves are all on the trees and everything is in bloom, it has a real forest feel. There's also a sensory garden planted, but again at the moment it's in a bit of winter mode. So this is just another space that children get to use regularly. We tend to alternate between sites each week to reduce footfall, and it's a chance for children to really get physical. And I think that in London schools often green space and access to outside space is limited, so we're very lucky to have these 2 sites set up very much in the same way as the previous forest school site, and children really having that opportunity to explore outside and to take risks. I think forest school very much is about risk taking in a safe environment.